A stadium plan on the offense tonight. The reasons why a new Charger stadium will kickstart development in San Diego.
Where will we put it? Usually we just dump it in the trash bag and put it in the trash. I hate to say it like that, and it sounds nasty, but where else are we supposed to put it?
Searching for relief in San Diego and the evidence that the supply is not meeting the demand.
These are public lands owned by all Americans, and yet all Americans don't feel as welcome and don't see themselves represented.
As the National Park Service celebrates its 100th birthday, the challenge to make these public sites relevant to all Americans. KPBS Evening Edition starts right now. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Ebony Monet. Rescue crews in central Italy spent the day digging for survivors after this morning's magnitude 6.2 earthquake. 159 people are dead. Many more are injured or missing. The quake struck at 3:36, reducing 3 towns to rubble. Rescue crews used bulldozers and their bare hands to pull the living and the dead from the piles of debris today. Firefighters pulled this little girl out alive 17 hours after the building she was in collapsed. She was taken to a nearby hospital. The earthquake zone is a popular spot for Romans with second homes, and the population swells in August when most Italians take their summer holiday before school starts. The devastation in central Italy is hitting home with many Italian Americans in San Diego. Today, the deadly disaster was the topic of discussion in Little Italy.
The only people she talks to is CNN. That's it.
Whether they were born there or visit often, many people here in Little Italy keep close tabs on the boot country.
Our culture is very close, so we always keep connections very close. What's going on in our countries. Here we are in the States, and it's very important always, so because we have family members that we have over there, which is more southern. But from Italy all the way down to south, we always care about our country.
Oh, I'm absolutely devastated because these are very small towns, and I hate to say it, but I think the ability to rebuild it is going to be very difficult for the Italians.
Christopher Antonucci owns Na Pizza, which specializes in making pizza the way it's made in his birthplace, Rome. He's using social media to follow the rising death toll after a powerful earthquake that was centered about 100 miles north of Rome.
I've been there various times as a youngster, and it's really quaint, very nice. All the towns are built with stone, cement, and brick, which is not very good for earthquakes, obviously. So when they do have something of this magnitude, it's catastrophic.
Antonucci is still learning the extent of his personal connection to the tragedy.
I unfortunately know some friends that do have friends in that area, so it does touch your immediate circle in some way if you're from there.
Now people here say they're looking for ways to help those directly impacted by the disaster more than 6,000 miles away.
Our coverage on the earthquake aftermath continues on the PBS NewsHour that starts at 7 o'clock right here on KPBS. The Chargers came out with a new report today that says their downtown Stadium Convention Center project will have a positive impact on the region and its hotels. KPBS reporter Eric Anderson has more.
Chargers officials hinted about the study 2 weeks ago, and they unveiled the details today. Consultant Rob Hunden says his agency talked to event planners that currently don't come to San Diego but are considered prime candidates. Planners say there isn't enough convention meeting space here. Hunden says the Stadium Convention project would create more meeting space that will generate 200,000 new hotel room nights a year.
That will generate more than $750 million in new hotel room revenue over the first 10 years of the facility, which will lead to more than $125 million in new hotel tax that's not existing today.
Hunden says the new convention center addition would be aimed at attracting new business to San Diego. Charger special consultant Fred Mass says the project will also kickstart development in the East Village.
There are a number of these blocks that have never been redeveloped and have been lying dormant because they're adjacent to a bus maintenance facility and a large parking lot. You know, we think a lot of those things ultimately will be redeveloped and rehabilitated. It's going to add enormous taxes and monies into the coffers.
Mass discounted other studies released this week and last that suggest the city's general fund might have to be relied upon to pay for the project. He says the city will never get that bill because the project will be in the hands of a separate joint powers authority. Eric Anderson, KPBS News.
San Diego District Attorney Bonnie DeManis took the stand today in the trial of Jose Azano. He's a Mexican businessman charged with conspiring to funnel money in the 2012 mayoral campaigns of DeManis and Bob Filner. The San Diego Union Tribune reports DeManis testified that she had two what she calls meet and greets with Azano, but she was unaware of his immigration status. It's illegal for a foreign national to contribute to U.S. election campaigns. DeManis is a witness for the defense. A sewage spill has closed parts of Colorado's Glorieta Bay. Officials say the crews are cleaning up spills at two locations near Blue Water Boathouse Seafood Grill and the Glorieta Bay boat launch. Workers recovered about 200 gallons of sewage. Around 3,600 gallons ended up in the bay. Officials are still assessing the damage. San Diego's East Village has 1,100 homeless people sleeping outside on the streets, but fewer than a dozen public toilets. KPBS reporter Susan Murphy finds even those toilets sometimes have issues.
Finding a public bathroom is a daily struggle for the growing number of homeless people in the East Village. Just 2 men's and women's bathrooms and 1 portable toilet are nearby to the hundreds living in tents, tarps, and cars.
Most of them go in the bushes. Yeah, because there are no porta potties around here.
Rita Curry lives on 17th Street along with 160 others. Also on the street is the Neil Good Day Center, paid for in part by the city. It provides services to the homeless, including 2 bathrooms. Curry says the women's is rarely available.
The ladies have 1 toilet, 1 sink.
The men share 3 urinals and 1 toilet. The next closest public bathrooms are down the street and around the corner at St. Vincent de Paul Village on Imperial Avenue. They're open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, except when they're clogged and closed for repair, like they were earlier this week. This time the problem stemmed from nearby construction.
Other times, individuals will sometimes use the toilets to put shoes, clothing, and so we do have to unstick those things. This is a challenging population to provide restrooms for. They need them. We want to do it, but it is never dull.
The city spent more than $500,000 to install 2 portable bathrooms in the East Village. One of the units was removed at a cost of $60,000 because of complaints of increased crime. To fill the toilet void, the city is paying St. Vincent de Paul more than $80,000 a year to provide those bathrooms that are sometimes closed.
It's hard, especially if you really gotta go.
Tammy Witt, who's been homeless for 5 years, says she used to make the trek to find a bathroom. Now she uses a 5-gallon bucket.
Where would we put it? Usually we just dump it in the trash bag and put it in the trash. I hate to say it like that, and it sounds nasty, but where else are we supposed to put it? I don't like to put it down the drain because I do know it goes straight into the water.
A city spokesman says in a statement they understand maintenance is an ongoing issue, and they're working to make sure the bathrooms are clean and open. Susan Murphy, KPBS News.
San Diego County students have improved their English and math test scores slightly this year. The results were released today by the State Department of Education. In San Diego County, 31% of the more than 250,000 test takers met the state standard for English, up 1% from last year. In math, scores are also up 1%, 23% this year, up from 22% last year. Statewide, the results continue to show an achievement gap. 64% of white students met or exceeded the English standard, while only 37% of Latino and 31% of black students did. This is the second year for these particular standardized tests. They were implemented last year to reflect the new Common Core standards. San Diego Unified School District is offering help for parents trying to get some answers before the start of school. KPBS reporter Steve Walsh has the story.
We're out here in front of the Family Enrollment and Welcome Center here over on Normal Street. School's not set to begin until next Monday, but things are happening inside here. Parents have been lining up for a couple of weeks ahead of the start of class, trying to wade through their students' options.
We can welcome them. We'll ask them what it is that they need help with. Many times they'll say, I don't know what my neighborhood school is, so we'll take them to a computer, we'll look up their address.
Just about all of this can be done online, but for parents who may not have a computer at home, staff can walk them through the enrollment process. This is part of the district's Vision 2020, which encourages students to at least consider their neighborhood school. The district found parents were actually picking charter schools or schools in affluent neighborhoods, even when their local school might actually be a better fit. This is the first school year for this new center. Parents can get help in Japanese, French, Spanish, and of course English. Reporting from the Family Welcome and Enrollment Center here in San Diego, Steve Walsh, KPBS News.
California lawmakers have shut down all bills aimed to regulate enforcement of body cameras. With only a week left in this year's legislative session, multiple measures that address the question of releasing police body cam footage have failed. It's the second year in a row that the legislature has chosen to remain silent on the issue of body cameras and transparency in law enforcement.
Most of all of our officers do a great job, but there are some who do not. And some who believe that they have impunity, because no matter what they do, no one's ever going to find out about it.
Bills that would have set a timeline for the release of body camera footage showing alleged misconduct to allow officers to file an injunction against the release of the footage were also defeated. California Governor Jerry Brown says he plans to give his final stamp of approval on two bills that aim to keep the state's climate change laws alive. State lawmakers passed a 10-year extension on the law, keeping the program active until 2030. The program aims to fight the climate change with a tax on pollution, zero-emission vehicle mandates, and restrictions on the carbon content of gasoline and diesel fuel. Among other restrictions, the second measure aims to increase legislative oversight over state regulators and focus more on climate initiatives on disadvantaged communities. On its 100th birthday, the National Park Service is looking to attract a more diverse crowd. AP reporter Beatrice Costa-Lima says parks need more support if they want to continue protecting the 84 million acres of parks, monuments, and other sites.
Hundreds of thousands of visitors descend upon Grand Canyon National Park each summer.
I promise. I promise. To share my discoveries.
But park intern Mikhail White says he can still spot something missing among the crowds.
There's not too many, so to say, African American or people of color.
Grand Canyon isn't alone. For years, the National Park Service has struggled with attracting minority visitors. Commission studies showed that nearly 85% of visitors are white. But as the Park Service turns 100 years old, officials hope to widen its appeal.
These are public lands owned by all Americans, and yet all Americans don't feel as welcome and don't see themselves represented.
To improve its outreach, the park system has adopted numerous changes, including educational material that highlights diversity. It also designated more national monuments connected to historical minority figures, such as Harriet Tubman and Cesar Chavez. Tourism professor Myron Floyd says the lack of minorities at parks comes in part from barriers such as transportation and cost. But another part comes from the country's legacy of excluding African Americans and others from public resources.
Because of our history, those kinds of opportunities were not seen as something that we would do or those communities would do.
For Dallas resident Dwayne Smith, visiting a park isn't necessarily about seeing people who look like him.
It's about giving my children an experience that I didn't have. This is the first time I've been here. So wanted to share that with them and be able to let them go back to school next month and be able to share those experiences with people who actually don't look like them.
But keeping up with the nation's increasing diversity will be essential to the park's survival. Minorities are expected to eclipse the white population before 2050.
If public lands aren't telling their story and they don't see themselves reflected in these beautiful places, they may not support them, they may not choose to come out here, they may not recognize that these are their assets and protect them for future generations.
So is everybody over 12?
Nope. None. White, who is part of a stepped-up recruiting program at black colleges, says it's important for the Park Service to reflect diversity in its ranks.
Having them work here and broadcast that people here work here, that will and make somebody of myself want to come because there's somebody that they can relate to and talk to.
A relation that could connect more minorities with the nation's natural splendors. Beatrice Costa-Lima, Associated Press.
More clear, sunny skies in San Diego, and a heat wave may bring higher temperatures in some areas this weekend. Stephanie Olmo has that in tonight's forecast.
Well, it has been pretty quiet here throughout Southern California, and it's going to remain like that as we continue throughout the latter half of the week. And of course, we take you into the weekend. So any weekend plans should be okay for those beach goers, or actually anywhere you decide to go, as we're really not expecting any sort of precipitation in the area. So getting right into it, satellite and radar the last 6 hours or so. Notice where the wet weather is, mainly well to our east, impacting the Four Quarters region. You have that moisture in place, of course. Because of that, that's going to cause for more showers and storms into the next couple of days. But boy, it's a different story throughout the Golden State, all the way down into San Diego. For tonight, once again, begin the night with clear clouds, but then you'll see the increasing amounts of clouds in the vicinity as we take you mainly throughout the overnight hours. First thing tomorrow morning, temperatures here in the metro area taking a tumble back into the middle 60s. As we check out the forecast around SoCal, let's say Mount Laguna, a bit cooler for us folks out here, 52 degrees with just patches of clouds. Clear skies in Ramona. We're taking a tumble back into the 50s. Alpine 59 degrees, and Oceanside will keep them in the lower 60s. As we take you into Thursday, it's going to stay a little bit cooler along the coast due to that onshore flow, but still going to be seasonably warm throughout the region here. Temperatures near average for this time of year as we head into the next couple of days. Notice with that moisture in place, that's going to fuel for some spotty showers and also some thunderstorms if you are deciding to head out east. As we take you into the weekend, we're expecting more showers and storms throughout this general region in the Four Corners, but it's still going to remain relatively warm in SoCal. It's going to be hot in some areas, especially up toward the north here across California. Now, checking out your 5-day outlook in the coast, and not a whole lot going on as we head into the next couple of days. Once again, any plans, we are okay. Temperatures near average. We're anywhere from the low to middle 70s as we head into the weekend under mainly sunny skies. Mainly sunny for the folks heading back to work on Monday. Temperatures will be at about 78 degrees. So climbing just a tad further inland, a mix of sun and clouds. The clouds begin to break for some sunshine as we head into tomorrow. Temperatures will be relatively mild at 86 degrees. And we'll keep those temperatures anywhere in the low 80s to middle 80s as we head into the rest of the week and into the weekend with a mix of sun and clouds. Plenty of sunshine on Monday. Temperatures will begin to rise into the 90s. We'll begin in the 80s on Thursday. Here, the mountain outlook into the next couple of days in the 70s for the weekend. The second half of the weekend, though, will start to warm up a bit back into the 80s. Monday, especially in the upper 80s. Last but not least, your 5-day outlook for the desert. Temperatures will remain in the triple digits here Friday. And then we'll see them actually take a dive back into the 90s before they start to climb right back into the triple digits Sunday and into Monday. Once again, here the trend will be plenty of sunshine as we head throughout the weekend and, of course, early week. I'm Stephanie Olmo, KPBS News.
TriCity Healthcare District in North County is taking the next step in its affiliation with the UC San Diego Health to improve quality and access to care. Under an agreement announced this week, the healthcare providers will work to recruit more primary care and specialty physicians in North County. The extra providers will supplement the TriCity's existing doctors and provide new opportunities for UCSD Health. A young woman captured by the Islamic State is now safe in Germany, but she still felt like her life was in danger. AP reporter Bonnie Ghosh has more on the extreme measures she took to protect herself.
The Yazidi girls in this refugee camp were safe from members of the Islamic State group. But one 17-year-old was still haunted by the fear she would be raped and abused by them once again. Inside her tent, Yasmin imagined she heard voices of IS fighters outside her door. Petrified, she vowed to make herself undesirable. She doused herself in gasoline and lit a match.
Their voice was in my ears. I could hear their voice. I was so scared. I couldn't take it anymore. And this is what happened to me.
Now 18, Yasmin, who asked that her last name not be used, is one of 1,100 women, mainly of the Yazidi religious minority, who are in Germany for psychological treatment. Jan Kizelhan, a psychologist who specializes in trauma, found Yasmin in the camp.
There was a body, was totally burnt. There was no eyes.
no noises, no ear, nothing. The whole skin was burnt totally. There was nothing.
IS militants swept into the Sinjar region of northern Iraq in August of 2014. Since then, a United Nations panel says the community has all been displaced, captured, or killed.
All of the girls were kidnapped. The men were killed, and the women and children were taken. They were teaching their children Arabic. They were making them work and teaching them to kill people, just like they do.
As part of the healing process, Yasmin will undergo long-term psychotherapy and as many as 15 surgeries. One day, she hopes to go to school and work with computers. But she still fears the terrorists, especially after the 2 recent attacks in Germany, for which IS took credit. Bonnie Ghosh, Associated Press.
They're on a mission to make wheelchairs more efficient and user-friendly. A startup company from the University of Illinois is developing a new type of wheel. In tonight's SciTech report, producer Tim Myers explains how it may transform the way wheelchair users interact with the environment.
I was a mechanical engineering student at the University of Illinois, and I was in the math classes, and I just really struggled with them. But what I loved to do was design, and really loved to talk to people and figure out, here's a problem that we can solve. Here's a problem that we can solve just by designing a new device or a new piece of technology. So as a company, we started off by developing geared wheels. Incredibly simple pieces of technology that just have gears inside the wheels to make it easier for somebody to push. Just like when you shift to a low gear on a bicycle, it makes it easier to pedal up a hill or pedal across grass. A low gear in a wheel on a wheelchair can make it easier to get where you're trying to go. So the I-Series wheels are ultralight geared wheels for manual wheelchairs. They have no motor, no battery, and they're about as light as you can possibly get a geared manual wheelchair wheel.
One of the things that really attracted me to the project and to IntelliWheels is that right from the get-go, they understood that they weren't just solving a problem of efficiency, but they were designing a product that a person was going to use in their daily life. I might have a very athletic background, and we've taken some ideas from the athletic world that we're developing, but we're not really designing athletic products. We're designing products to help a person throughout their daily life, going to school, going to work, going to the store, whatever it is.
It's all about independence. It's all about being able to do things for yourself, and that's what the geared wheels are for.
One of the most amazing things about the University of Illinois is it was the very first accessible university in the country. It began letting students with physical disabilities in the late 50s and really expanded on those programs through the 60s and 70s until it really became one of the leaders in the country and in the world in accessibility.
Accessibility and students on campus is like part of our DNA. Regardless of what your job is, everyone's aware of students on campus with disabilities. But the work that Josh and his partners are doing is just an example of the power of an idea. And the other part is that it's not something or someone without a disability coming up with a solution for you because you're a poor person with a disability. It's people with disabilities saying, you know what, we're smart, we know how to do things, we can come up with some of our own ideas because of their lived experiences.
The fact that we've got so many wonderful, smart, intelligent people who use wheelchairs around us, it makes it so much easier to create a worthwhile technology. We would never be able to get anywhere where we are without the ability to talk to people who actually use the things we design. That's the key to all of our success or any innovation we create.
You can see more stories like that one on SciTech Now, Sundays at 5:30 right here on KPBS.
I'm Judy Woodruff. On the next News Hour, our Leading Edge series looks at the next generation of inventors hoping to change the world. That's Wednesday on the PBS News Hour.
A sad day at the San Diego Zoo. Officials say an Asian elephant was put down yesterday. Ranchapur suffered from old age. The zoo celebrated his 50th birthday in January. The life expectancy for an Asian elephant in captivity is about 42 years. Astronomers have found a new planet that may be able to sustain life, and it's not that far from Earth. Scientists say Proxima b was found orbiting Proxima Centauri, a solar system nearly 25 trillion miles away. They say temperatures there may allow for liquid water. Experts say although it's easily the closest Earth-like planet ever detected outside of the Milky Way, it would still take about 78,000 years to get there with our current technology. The Chula Vista-based Parkview Little League All-Stars are headed home. They lost last night to a team from Tennessee, eliminating them from the Little League World Series in Pennsylvania. Parkview is the 12th local team to reach the Little League World Series in the 4th in 8 years. It won it all in 2009. And here's a look at what we're working on for tomorrow in the KPBS Midday Edition. Bringing San Diego's LGBTQ history out of the dark. Last year, San Diego City Council approved the launch of a study into the history of the city's LGBTQ community. And now we have the results. We talked to expert Charles Kaminsky about the city's first draft of its LGBTQ historic content statement. You can find more on tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. Thanks for joining us. Have a great night.